welcome to another session of Elets Innovation Talk, a segment where we feature prominent healthcare thought leaders. Joining us today, we have Mr. Yogesh Agarwal, founder-Onsurity, with us, who will be sharing his thoughts and insights around employee benefits and his journey into the segment. Welcome, Mr. Agarwal. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Garima, and hello everyone.
So, sir, starting from the beginning, if you could share the journey of Onsurity and how it has been redefining the employee benefits.
Sure. I think before I start with the journey, I will just try to give some background about what exactly we were trying to do, or means what was the purpose why we started on Surety. So effectively, in terms of my background, I have run couple of SME businesses, and predominantly in the past, whenever it comes to the employee health benefits for the SME sector, it's almost impossible to get a right employee benefit, which should include different wellness services, health insurance, life insurance, and other benefits, which is only which is only available to large enterprises. And because of this, a lot of SMBs, both on the segments which actually hire blue collar workers or white collar professionals, they were not being able to attract and retain talent because the employee benefit had become one of the most important benefits what all the talent also sees it around. So given that there was a complete supply chain problem, and to solve that we started onsurity so that we can actually bring the employee health benefits and the other benefits of employees, which can, so that it can be accessible to the SMBs and to their employees. So that was the reason how we started. In terms of our journey, we somewhere around launched our product in August 2020, which was kind of in the midst of pandemic. And over the last 1.5 year to almost 2 years, what we have already covered or working with more than 2,000 businesses on our platform. And with these 2,000 businesses, we are now being able to work with almost more than 200,000 customers on our platform. So this is where how our journey had been. And if we compare our journey with any other traditional manufacturers who are there in the system over the last 20 years, given that they predominantly focus on large corporates. In a Typically in a year, a large traditional manufacturer does onboard like a 400 businesses. But over the last 2 years, we are now working with 2,000 active businesses on our platform. So this is where how we have been able to create an impact on the SME sector, and we could keep on continue to focus on these segment.
Right, right. So, it's a recent journey. So, in terms of the opportunities and challenges, how was it for you? What were the, kind of initial setbacks or roadblocks that you faced, and how were you able to sail through it?
Sure. So, a couple of roadblock. Of course, one of the roadblock was the pandemic. And in the midst of pandemic, it was very difficult to get the right talent at that point of time. And so, effectively, the getting the right talent, ensuring that they understand the culture and creating a work culture within the organization. This is something that we had taken it as a challenge, and keep on trying to how we can actually build a right culture for our team members and a right team members, because the entire success of the organization and the mission that we have been entailed to, it's only dependent on how strong team we can actually build it around, and how much we can motivate them to the same journey. So this is one of the, I would say, the challenge, and it's kind of an interesting challenge to have it out. So we are keep on solving it around. And secondly, of course, because of the pandemic, a lot of SMBs businesses were impacted and were not being operational. So on the one hand, yes, it was difficult to reach out to the SMB as well as to ensure that they pay for the product. But on the other side, the pandemic had also created a positive impact, that now the people are quite focused towards their health, and not only towards their only health, but the health of their family members. And in the SMB sector, the employees are considered to be the family members of the owners or the family members of the person who is leading the show. So that is where we have seen a lot of awareness about the health benefits within this segment. And so these are the couple of challenges and opportunities that we are seeing it around.
Right,
And in
right.
terms of the opportunity, what you have mentioned, so we are already having like a 6.3 crore SMBs, and out of those 6.3 crore, only 5% of them gives a healthcare to their employees. So there is a huge underpenetrated market that exists, and we sure so that is a kind of an opportunity that we are looking at.
Right, right. So you began, while the pandemic definitely, had come in. So for you, digital technology adoption must have been, a significant factor for, moving on. So how was the journey, when it came to the digital adoption, and how do you see this technology adoption in the upcoming financial year?
So I think the overall in India we have seen a lot of digital tailwind impacts. One tailwind impact had come from the demonetization. The second one had come from geo movement, and this third is the coming from the pandemic. So and in all these waves of digital uprise, there are different category of customers who had started adopting digital platforms. So within this particular pandemic, we have seen even our parents or someone between the age of above 45 plus, they have started very aggressively to use at least WhatsApp and different digital online platform. So overall, and once they start getting used to, they want now all the services, most of the services to be delivered online, or at least they actually benchmark every other services which is actually given online with the kind of the service that is available through either through Amazon or through Swiggy. So that is where what we see, that in the healthcare also people or the customers are expecting that there should be a digital disruption, there should be a technology workflow which is helping them to solve a lot of issues what they face on a daily basis when it comes to their healthcare through the technology platforms. So,
Right,
and
right.
we would be seeing that, yes, almost like a 20 to 25% of the customers will be taking the digital healthcare, especially on the teleconsultation and the e-health checkup booking part.
Right, right. So this is what you see in the upcoming financial year. So are there any key factors that will affect this digital adoption? What are the
Uh,
factors that you foresee?
I think the first of the one of the major adoption that will be affecting this digital thing is I will tell you about what had happened in the pandemic. There had been a lot of infrastructure that had automatically been created because of the pandemic, and especially like for a health checkup, because the kind of the RT-PCR volume that had gone around, it had actually created a lot of infrastructure development on the health checkup or e-health part. So now, once the COVID impact had gone away, all these infrastructure that had been built up will be now utilized towards to create the other part of the e-health checkup, which was quite missing it around. And now people will start going up, or the customers will start moving towards more preventive care, because now the access towards the preventive care will also be possible because of the created infrastructure. Apart from that, there will be some level of tailwind impact that will come around because of the NDHM overall NDHM mission that the government is focusing in order to digitalize the entire healthcare data and connect all the dots in the healthcare ecosystem. That will again create a lot of technology adoption in the healthcare segment. Just to imagine it around that, I guess very few of us, in fact, in our segment, will be using the EHR, electronic health records, where all our past health history would be stored enough, and where with the consent we can do it. So the kind of the repeated checkups that we need to do it whenever we are going to see the doctor, or where the old prescriptions are not available, will get resolved for, and the kind of the so many bills and documents that we need to keep on will go away. And again, the interpolability and the inter changeability of the data among the different providers will also happen through this NDHM thing. So from the digital healthcare adoption, I guess the other wind that will come around is the entire NDHM thing, and we anticipate that it will be a kind of a eureka movement similar to the UPI in the payments.
Right, right, right. It's interesting you talked about NDHM because I was about to ask you about that. So, you know, do you think the Indian healthcare sector at large has the kind of supporting infrastructure, you know, to take this mission to its next level, or you know, to have the convergence of various players to come together and move it forward?
I guess if the infrastructure, with the kind of the infrastructure that is required is effectively the technology, and again, everyone is trying to invest into technology piece, be it like a large hospital to even like a SMB kind of a hospital or SMB diagnostic centers. They understand it out that now, given that the customer requires them to adopt technology as well as the government mandates them to have the records submitted. So basically, effectively, the infrastructure, if the infrastructure would be missing, there will be infrastructure that will be built up. There will be a lot of SaaS players that will come around, similar to how the SaaS, different SaaS companies had solved the accounting problem or GST problem. And when the GST was getting implemented, all of us were imagining that how a small businesses will be able to comply with the GST norm. Of course, today also they face some hurdles, but still the kind of the adoption that has happened, it's quite significant enough. Similarly, because the country where we are living in, it's quite interesting because whether any one of us would have imagined that the kind of the timeline what the government had committed in order to vaccinate such a big population, whether that would have been successful means. And just you see
Right.
how our country as a whole had made this entire vaccination program a successful vaccination program, and it had become a case study for the entire world. And even our vaccination certificates are available on the digital platform, or only in the digital in most of the cases only in the digital format. So the kind of the infrastructure that now the companies that the country is building it out on the technology side, it's commendable. And to be very honest, it does not seem anything impossible for India when it comes to anything which is related to technology.
Right, right. So, according to you, what are the positive catalysts when it comes for ICT adoption, you know, in the government sector?
Sorry, I did not get that.
What are the positive catalysts when it comes for ICT adoption in the government sector?
Okay, so in the government sector, what we would understand it around that, I guess, as per one of the segment that the government is pushing it around is the entire primary healthcare and creating local clinics which would be promoting all these primary healthcare, and again the kind of the investment that the government is making. So one of the catalyst is about the ICT adoption in the government sector would be the primary healthcare pieces that are getting developed, which would also enable to have a lot of diseases which actually become terminal, or which require tertiary care at the end, can be discovered it around and can be cured at a very earlier stage. So I think the kind of the government movement or the government initiative on the primary healthcare side is something that will actually create a lot of awareness and a lot of adoption on the government programs.
Right, right, right. So, as an organization, what is the vision of your company, you know, for the new financial year?
So for us, what would be our vision is actually how many number of new SMBs that we can reach out to through different channels. Because what when we see it out, it's a kind of a complete land of opportunity. Because as we mentioned, we understand only 5% of them is having healthcare, and even we are working with 2,000 companies. We think that we do not even had scratched the surface around it. So that is one of the primary objective, that how we can now reach out to more number of SMBs in a quite in a quite short span of time. And now, because most of the businesses have been opened, and again the kind of the financial issues that couple of these businesses were running around now started getting improvised. So effectively, that is what we are trying to target in the next fiscal year, to reach out to almost close to 10,000 SMBs through our platform.
Right, right. Wonderful. That's it. That's a nice target that you've set up. So, any kind of innovations that your company is planning, in your products or services or your marketing strategies to reach out to this number and provide them better services.
So in terms of the all our marketing, all our technology products, and kind of the entire platform that we are building it around, it's only what we are trying to focus, that how we can actually build more trust onto these SMBs. So because the kind of the product that we are delivering it around, it requires a lot of trust thing to be developed, because healthcare itself is one of the most trust deficit product. Whenever you go to any hospital, customer always have a mind key, whether I will be taken right care about, or so effectively how we can exactly build more and more trust is something all our product and innovation is lying around in that particular part. Because we strongly believe that if we are being able to create a trust onto this particular segment, definitely in the long term, the kind of the mission that we are actually going forward for will get accomplished. So this is what we are trying to do, and in order to build trust, lot of focus is getting onto only on one thing, that is customer experience. That how we can actually deliver a best in class customer experience for them, so that the word of mouth on the quality of the service that we are giving it around reaches out to more number of SMBs, as well as employees and their family members and their connected neighbors or relatives. So that is where how what we are focusing around. So anything which actually solve or give an enhanced customer experience for our customer is something we are focusing around in the next financial year. So these are the two things that on which we are focused around to develop at Onsurity.
Right. So, any specific strategy you're looking at, any specific channel that you're targeting, or any specific market that is your focus for now?
So for us, kind of we are trying to focus more now towards the tier two and tier three. We will be focusing more towards the tier two and tier three city over the next 1 year. And in order to reach out to these SMBs, we recently have done a couple of partnerships or tie-ups. So for example, we have not tied up with Visa, and through Visa we are trying to reach out to all the banks and the merchant and the Visa SMB partners or the SMB merchants who are using Visa as a platform or a Visa card. So effectively, how we can exactly ride on these kind of a partnership is something that one what we are looking at. Apart from that, we are trying to reach out to lot number of SMBs through the direct channel as well. So these are the two different channels on which we are working and focusing around.
Right, right. And just one final thing, how do you see the sector evolving, and what is your, I would say the, roadmap looking into the future?
So I guess this sector, the overall healthcare as a sector, will be one of the fastest growing sector over the next 5 years. Uh, if we compare our overall healthcare spend compared to the global benchmarks, that particular number indicates that there is a great potential for the growth. Secondly, the COVID had created a lot of positivity impact on the overall thought process and the awareness. And number three is because of the COVID, lot of infrastructure had been built, and is now people are focusing to build more infrastructure, and there are like a lot of investment that is also coming into the sector in the healthcare sector overall. So we are anticipating that the sector overall will grow upwards of 25% over the next at a CAGR of 25% over the next 5 years. And that actually, if the sector overall grows, we want to also grow much more exponentially compared to the sectoral growth that is there. So we almost want to actually grow at a 100% to 200% rate over the next 3 to 4 years.
Wonderful, sir. All the best, for your future endeavors. And thank you so much for joining us today. It was wonderful listening to your thoughts and, listening to your voice. Thank you so much for being here.
That's